she was such a badass and so likable. And then she's a songbird, and then she was adorable, like with all of her hair and her clothes. Like, there's a lot about her I didn't know. So, thank you.
I'm the executive producer and owner of AMS Pictures. And my claim to fame is I was in an elevator with Richard and Karen for about 10 seconds when I was 21 years old.
I'm Randy Schmidt, writer and producer. And
good on camera.
Oh, thank you. I fell in love with Karen's voice when I was a 13-year-old kid watching the TV movie The Karen Carpenter Story, and it all came full circle just a couple of months ago when I got to walk the red carpet at the premiere of this in Santa Barbara with Cynthia Gibb, who starred as Karen in that movie, so it was pretty cool.
Hi there. First off, I'm Randy Martin, director on this, and thankful that they brought me into this group to help bring this film to completion, but I did not get to ride with Karen in the elevator, I'm sorry, but got to know her a lot through this team here. So,
my name is Brad Osborne, producer and editor of the film. And the fact that there are 4 males up here talking about Karen Carpenter, I think is testament to the fact that men, I know women love the Carpenters, but men love the Carpenters. I've been a fan for life.
About that all these mostly Texas filmmakers made a story about. Did you pitch him in the elevator when you were 21?
No, it really starts with Randy helping his origin story.
The continuation of that 13-year-old kid's story, the day after the TV movie aired, I was in our local library and making copies from People magazine and started my research because I was born in the middle of the Carpenters' heyday, so I had all this catching up to do. And that research was just done for my own curiosity, never with the idea of a book or a film or anything like that. But sometime in college, when the internet was coming into homes and universities and everything, I sort of became the internet Carpenters guru and was responsible, whether it was a good thing or bad thing, for bringing together thousands of Carpenters fans from all around the world. And it was with the encouragement of them that I started to do interviews and more research. And at some point, I started putting it together as a book that became Little Girl Blue, The Life of Karen Carpenter. And thank you.
Age, so I bought their records. I love them. My friends who are not really into that kind of music. I bought Randy's book maybe a couple of years after he wrote it, and I had it on my nightstand for years. And then we met each other maybe 6 years ago, and immediately I said we need to make a documentary. And
so everything from hair and makeup to record executives to former boyfriends, that just added so much depth. I mean, everybody had their opinions about her, and that was very, very interesting. So was that part of your research? How did that, and
It grew from my research, and a lot of the people I had interviewed for the book as well. So I got to go back to Olivia Newton-John and back to some other people. And I hadn't interviewed Cubby O'Brien, the drummer. So I got to visit with some people that I didn't get to the first time around. And Randy might be a good person to tell us about some of the talent
being played here at the Dallas International Film Festival. We all want to thank you guys for picking this one to come to. So that's up to you guys. Thank you for that. So, we were very fortunate, again, because of Randy's book, that opened a lot of doors. He knew a lot of people that we could start with. Most of the interviews took place right when COVID was starting up, so it got fascinating. Why you wrote the book finally, in addition to just for all the other Carpenters fans out there, about her circle of friends.
Well, I kept waiting for the book to come out that I wanted to read, and finally ended up just taking matters into my own hands and writing it myself for all of her friends. And she mentioned Itchy. Karen Itchiuji was her name, and she married Phil Ramone, so Karen Ramone. But Karen Carpenter, in her silliness, would just call her Itchy. And so Itchy and Frenda and those people were very, very instrumental in the last probably 6 months of my work. And Itchy particularly was one that I could call late at night, and she would drop everything and talk to me and answer, one question or 20 questions or whatever it might be. And Brenda went back kind of into her private mode after that. She would email me some responses and things here and there, but she was terribly private. And I did hear from all of them after the book came out, and then like with Olivia, I saw her at WinStar a couple of years after the book came out, and got to give her a copy, and so they were a very special group, and I'm just honored because now all three of those women are unfortunately no longer with us, and the fact that they got to do this, you know, in the last years of their lives, I think, you know, they made a great contribution to Karen's legacy.
Probably had talked a lot about Karen ever. So it's really bringing those people together and learning how their stories then fit together. And a documentary we're trying to do is take a lot of different stories and layer them in a way that you actually do some coherence there. And that's what we really tried to do. And because Randy knows the story so well and all the story points, Randy made it so much easier to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, the future of the film.
Yeah, well, that's my daily life now. We
Now the
are
fun part.
actively pitching this project to streamers, but it's extremely hard. Are you a streamer? Yeah, well, it's our hope that everyone sees this film.
Yeah,
You have to sort of.
But we have to advertise it.
Well, and we have to, again, we're trying to get it on a streamer, which is the best way to get it in front of the whole world. That's the process we're going through now. We will sell DVDs and do some other things later this year, no matter what happens with the streamer.
Karen didn't necessarily do much writing or any on her own. Richard wrote a few of their hits, and they got a lot of their hits from various writing teams, the Backrack David team and the Paul Williams, Roger Nichols, and but Karen didn't necessarily have a lot of input on what they were going to sing. I mean, obviously they would find stuff like in a movie or in a commercial and those kinds of things, but it was Richard's ear that was so good for that. He could take a song that, 10 other people had recorded it and had never been a hit, but he knew the way to arrange it and to present her voice so beautifully. It was that solo album, though, in 1979, 1980, that gave her the chance to pick the songs. And that's one of the reasons I like that album so much. It did finally come out in 1996, long after Karen's death. But it's special because it's her, front to back. It's all her decisions and creative choices, and so for that reason, I especially love it. And it's right up there with anything other vocalists like herself were doing at the time. It sounds a lot like the stuff that Olivia was recording then, and Barbra Streisand did a disco album and things like that. So it would have been, I think, a bigger hit than they thought.